The journey on the port chunk continues. The grind ahead of us is one, if not the most brutal grind so far yet. That's right, all we have left is 90 prayer. And you're probably asking yourself, how are you getting 90 prayer? Well, don't worry, in today's video we will dive into that, the goals we've reached so far, and much more. Let's get started. Let's begin with what we have accomplished since the last video. We have 90 agility, 90 hunter, 85 attack, strength and defense. They're all done. But wait, you actually might be scratching your head trying to remember how did you finish 90 agility and hunter so fast? Well, if you remember correctly, the 2025 Easter event, the Blooming Barrels, it's how we were able to achieve 90 agility and hunter. The event was helpful for both skills since it cut the time by a lot. We were rushing actually towards the end to finish hunter because agility took the majority of the time. It was kinda tight, to be honest, but nevertheless we got it done, and oh man am I thankful for that. These events are huge for the account. Well, sometimes. The last Easter event I didn't even participate at all since I had a completely different grind at the time, 91 Herblore, if you guys remember correctly. That grind took us the majority of 2024, which was gruesome, to be honest. But these seasonal events can help the account tremendously when it comes to, expediting the grind. Now that that is out of the way, I think it's time to jump into some gameplay. I've killed a lot of monsters on the Xtreme chunk journey. However, there's only been 2 instances where the mobs I was killing were not aggressive. One of them was Chaos Druids, and the second one now is Ice Giants. This means all of the other grinds were somewhat AFK to a certain degree. If you guys remember back to the grind of the giant bats and ogres, they were AFKable. A lot less clicking and a lot less worrying about stuff happening on the screen, which the Ice Giants in this case are not it. A bit unfortunate, however, but that didn't stop us from killing as many as we did. Ice Giants sit at level 47. So at level 123, we completely overleveled them, making this grind not as enjoyable as the others. Finally, we have arrived, the Asgardian Ice Dungeon. The dungeon itself is super nostalgic to me, not only for the location, but also because it is tied to the Knight's Sword. This is probably another iconic quest from back in the day that many players like myself struggle with. It would be cool to see the Blu-ray ore being used for something else than just a quest ore, right? Maybe like Blu-ray could be part of a set of weapons that deal more damage to the ice creatures, like the Ice Warriors or Ice Giants, obviously. But like, what about like the Arc Glacore and like the other Glacore variants? How cool would that be? Anyway, we finally arrive at a place we will spend a lot of our time in. These guys have taken many lives back in the day, and I myself suffered such a fate once upon a time, but now with my level and somewhat decent weapons for chunks unlocked and with higher stats, I can mow them down relatively quickly. I want to touch on something real quick. The interface is clearly different on this video than it will be on one more future video, and maybe a couple more videos up after this one. And that is due to when this video was recorded. It's now in the future, 2026, after Jagex has decided to completely remove MTX and they've redone their UI and all that stuff. However, the script for this video had been done since March last year. So yeah, a lot has happened since I last spoke to you guys, and I would never give up on the grind, to be honest. I honestly love playing this account just simply because it's just a different way to play the game that it hits a spot in my brain just the right way, a little sideways with enough pressure to make me go, this is fun. We who play this game mode are a completely different breed. Some play it just to see how far they can get. Some play it to document the journey. Some play it to challenge themselves in this version of the game. Some will do it just because restricting yourself is a newfound enjoyment that the regular way to traverse the game won't satisfy anymore. Why would someone not want to kill 120,000 Ice Giants for 90 prayer? Now that we circle back to the Ice Giants, I would like to touch on some other trivia. Have you ever wondered why the ice giants drop big bones even though they're kind of icy? Well, back in the day, 29th of March 2004 to be more specific, these icy giants weren't so icy, but instead looked like a human with a blue beard holding a Mithril 2H. Mithril 2H sword, you say? Yes, indeed. These guys back in the day used to hold Mithril 2H swords, kinda crazy. With a max hit of 750 for RuneScape or 7 for OSRS, they were pretty strong if you happened to get into combat with them somehow. Especially back in the classic days where the combat was more forced, since you needed 3 hits to get out of combat, if I believe. These guys were a menace. Funny thing is that in the classic era, they held wooden staffs. Imagine getting smacked a 7 with a wooden staff. How disrespectful. They look terrifying, but the funny thing is that the ice giants weren't just looks, okay? They held RuneScape's 3rd strongest monster back in the day, with a combat level of 68 in RuneScape Classic, and for a total of 66 days, they would terrify adventurers passing by just to get some blue-red ore. We didn't exactly experience this since I didn't start playing RuneScape Classic, but in 2007-2008 when I started playing, they definitely clapped me up several times just to get a piece of blue-red ore. I bet there is something unique about these creatures that you have never noticed. Take a second, I'll wait. You give up? Okay, well, here it is. If you pay attention to their chest, what do you see? That's right, a beating heart. This is something that it's hard to notice if you're not paying attention to detail. How of an interesting addition is this? Last but not least, not quite an ice giant fun fact, but it has to do with their location. Actually, I'm sure you guys noticed something weird about this cave, and it looks kind of newish, right? Well, that's because it is. The Asgardian Ice Dungeon recently got a facelift. Fun enough, one of my last videos that went over this area, you guys can still see how it used to look. Definitely a much needed facelift. So killing ice giants has turned out to be a pretty good surplus of items for the account. Between the salvage items and the random pieces of armor, the runes, to the many seed drops, to the adamant arrows that have been stacking nicely, to the spirit gems and the charms for summoning, and the biggest one being access to the rare drop table. The rare drop table has the potential to increase some of our defense and DPS. Not tremendously actually, but the thing that we want the most will be either a dragon helmet and or hopefully a dragon spear. Everything else in there is just a plus for the account, to be honest. Bringing it back to the regular drops though, it's not like I have a huge amount of these items either, but I decided early on that I was gonna bank everything just in case in the near future I could be somewhat efficient with invention. You know, these items aren't anything big or important, but for me they will play a role amongst the many other items that I'm bound to obtain. These items are great because when we unlock invention, like I said, it means they are components banked and ready to be used. However, the invention skill is probably a couple of years away, so we don't have to worry about that just now. I would like to talk about Clue Scrolls. What I've been needing since I created the account has been gear, weapons, armor, accessories, things that make me stronger. But unfortunately, this hasn't been the case. We have 5 different types of Clue Scrolls: easy, medium, hard, elite, and masters. The rewards for some of these, if not most, are essentially useless for me. The easy rewards are underwhelmingly bad. A combination of different black armors, wizard robes, and random cosmetics that don't do anything for my account. The medium rewards are a bit better, but not much better than the easy table. The ranger boots, mostly known in OSRS for a staple item to obtain, in RuneScape is useless, literally useless. Different adamant armors, green D hides, and the random cosmetic. Overall, again, disappointing. The hard rewards are much better for the standing of my account. Rune armor will be a much wanted upgrade from adamant. The Blessing D heights is not that good since we already have the Screamaster outfit, which is the same tier armor. The best upgrade here will be the Amulet of Purity, huge upgrade from the glory we have now. And there's also the enchanted armor, but the chances of us completing this 3 pieces of armor, it's probably super low. The elite rewards are nothing but cosmetics and other miscellaneous things, so again, useless. The master rewards, it's rare galore with nothing useful for us. I mean, if we could somehow roll a second age sword, staff, or even a bow, then the account could be set up for a while. But let's be honest guys, this probably will never happen. Fortunately, with enough luck, I'm actually able to complete a few of them. But clues in RuneScape don't feel as rewarding as they do in OSRS. For example, removing the pickaxes and axes are one of those rewards that could make the clues much better for Ironman early on. And they could have helped me out super early on when I was struggling with the bronze hatchet or with a better pickaxe, right? For mining when I was mining to 99. Anyway, wish me luck in completing some of these. The Halloween event. It appeared and helped us push the last few levels we needed to complete the level 90 prayer grind. At the end of everything, I was able to kill about 25,000 ice giants. And I know this is not a lot of kills in comparison to the 120,000 goal we had, but around the 20 to 25,000 mark is when I had to stop playing for a bit. Other things in life were distracting me and I needed to redirect my focus somewhere else. I was actually killing about 100 to 1,000 ice giants a day, which would have put me on a 3-month finish line if I'm not mistaken, right before the Halloween event actually. But you may ask yourself, Yoni, 3 months equals to about 90,000 ice giant kills. Well, yes, you are completely right. However, don't forget about dailies. Sometimes I will get the prayer daily 2, 3, even 4 times during the week, and sometimes I wouldn't get them at all. But the math was projecting the finish line to be around 3 months of efficient killing and with some luck. The funniest thing about this grind though is if I had turned in all of the remains the previous Halloween event, I would have been done a long time ago. So this is kind of my fault that we got stuck with 90 prayer. Sorry, go figure. After all that, the main drop I wanted from here was the Dragon Spear. It would have been an amazing DPS increase from the adamant weapons I have on me right now. Unfortunately though, we were unlucky. However, we did get a drop, a Dragon Medhelm. How awesome is that? The Dragon Medhelm will probably be our best in slot for a long time. I don't think there's anything around us that can give us an upgrade at the moment. You can see a picture of when I got it and me wearing it. I looked like a complete noob. I was so happy getting this drop. A drop is a drop at the end of the day, and I'm sure in the future there will be other drops that will trump this one, but this would definitely be one for the books. At the end of the day, this is the most exciting part of the chunking game mode. The drops, the theory crafting, the rolling, the interaction with the community. It's honestly an experience that I think everyone ought to seek for themselves. You don't have to dive too deep into it, if you don't want to, but I think this game mode helps you understand RuneScape in a different level than playing it with a regular account. Last but not least, we have a quest to finish before we roll, but that will be tackled in the next episode, guys. A lot has happened in between the last episode and now. Little known, for example, turned 1, actually 1 in 2 months now, a couple days ago. And it's been a blast watching him grow up and watching his progress. It's been awesome. Among other things in my life that I'm not gonna get into now, but everything is going great, guys. One thing I always say and remind you guys is to not worry. The account is going strong and the grinds will be getting done. This is something I stated day 1 and I will stand by it till the end. I think that's about it for today. I hope you guys have a wonderful day and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.